Well, good morning, gentlemen. This is a vintage military radio net. This is K0DWC, and my name's Chuck, and I'll be your net control this morning. And we'll be operating on 3974 kilocycles. Vintage military radio net is a round-table AM net that provides an opportunity for licensed hams to operate their vintage military radio gear on the air. Military gear is encouraged, but certainly not required. Check-ins will be given a number that can be used in the handoff, and I'll call for check-ins at the end of each roundtable session. If anyone has anything for sale or has a want for something, please mention it during your turn in the roundtable session. So, with that, let me give you the rundown, and then I'll give a call out for very last check-ins for the first round. In the one spot, we've got Brown. In the two spot is W6JRY, Jerry. In the three spot is NU6F, Ron. In the four spot is W6SSP, Steve. In the five spot is Dave, W6MQI. In the sixth spot is Richard, W6AWO. In the seventh spot is Kevin, WA6JKN. And in the eighth spot is Bill, N6BCT. That's the order as I have it. And awaiting number 9, if you want to check in for the first round here, it'll be number 9. Come now.
Whiskey 7, Mexico Sierra.
WA7 YBS.
Well, good morning, Mike, and good morning, Henry. W7MS in the number 9 spot, and Henry in the 10 spot, WA7 YBS. Okay, anyone else want to check in and be on the tail end of the first round, be number 11, come now. Okay, nothing heard. I did the rundown already. If there's anybody that has a missing spot on your paper or anything, let me know now, and I will give you the correct info. The last two were Mike in the number 9 spot, W7MS, and in the 10 spot was Henry, WA7YBS. So anybody has any blank spots, let me know now. Okay, very good. All right, well, let's see here. Let's see. I'm running the same old net control station this morning, the ART13, courtesy of W4DBQ, and the R390A receiver, 200 watts. Speaking through a T32 microphone with the Electret module in it, and going through an inverted V antenna. So that's my rundown, and very surprised to hear Brown this morning. Sounded really good. Good to have you back. GRC19 sounds fantastic. So I will send it down to you, to Brown, W1NZR/6. This is K0DWC. Go ahead.
All right, Chuck. Well, very good morning to you and the assembled group. Actually, pretty good conditions this morning so far. I'm copying everyone very nicely. K0DWC. This is W1NZR. In Dixon. And yes, running the GRC19. T195A by Western Electric. I believe it's actually the last production run of this foolish thing in 1963. And amazingly enough, my random wire antenna is still up. It has survived all of this, and we've had a number of storms here in my absence. I think the last time I was in town was about 6 weeks ago. It's been fairly busy, but I'm out here for a while. I may even be around next weekend again. Who knows? But a great pleasure to be here. And Chuck, thank you very much for running the net. Do appreciate it. I've been I've been doing net control duties for the East Coast MILRAD net at Ozark on Saturday mornings on 3885. So I can very much appreciate your duty station, Chuck, and do appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Gary and see what he has to say, along with everyone else. Again, really good conditions. W6 at JRY and the vintage military net. This is W1NZR. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, okay, very good, Brown. W1NZR, portable 6 in the group. W6JRY, this is Jerry, Juliet Echo Radio Yankee, Forest Ranch, and excellent conditions here today. Everybody's really got good signals. I'm sure over the S9 mark, Mike was a little bit down, so I'm presuming maybe a little bit lower power radio. We're operating our usual ART-13 Navy version of it, RBM4 Navy receiver, Delta Loop antenna here, and I guess the warmer temperatures got me down here today. Anyway, it's been today's much warmer than it has been. It's about 42 outside, 52 degrees in the shack, and this is going to be a warm, I think up in the 60s, upper 60s maybe sometime here today. Well, maybe the conditions go along with HF conditions. I haven't been doing any projects, but quite a bit of operating with extremely good propagation, MUF up to above 28 megahertz, and a lot of DX on. In fact, some of the numbers are up from I think up in the 300 range, up kind of like in the 1950s or something. So sounds real good. Well, there's a bunch in here, so I'll keep it short. And Ron, what kind of DX you been working? I've been working a lot of it. NU6F in the group, W6JRY.
Okay, good deal, Jerry. W6JRY in the group, NU6F. And Henry, Mike, Kevin, Richard, Steve, Dave, Brown, Aaron, everybody pretty good. QSB quite a bit, but even then the lows are still fine. And yeah, you're right, Jerry. It's a bad time to have so much other activity going. I haven't been able to spend as much time here in the shack, but yeah, I have been hanging out on 10-meter CW, and yeah, the same as you say, it's like the good old days, run 20 watts and work in Europe and the Far East just like that. So yeah, it's been a kick. I got some other projects though that besides family stuff, more stuff on the bench to do. But yeah, this morning running the TD and the RAL5 receiver. You can hear the MG set still chugging along in the background, and so it's been on the air daily now for over a month. Knock on wood. Let's hope it keeps going. And the 160-foot long wire. Okay, with that, over to Santa Rosa, W6SSP, Steve, NU6F.
Okay, thank you, Ron, and good morning, one and all. It's a beautiful sunny morning here, just north of Santa Rosa, and I'm running the same here. I usually use the Collins 32V1 and matching 75mm receiver. Do a dipole about 30 feet up, D104 microphone with an original element that actually works. One of a few around, I think, these days. Anyway, this week I wanted to mention I finally was able to tune into the Wednesday night upper sideband net on 75 meters, and very interesting. Conversations were about half tracks and military vehicles and such. I really enjoyed listening to everyone. Heard everybody. Heard Andy, Mike, and Dave. And the last two were running low power, and boy, they were just pounding in here. I think 7 and 9 watts respectively. So it's amazing what you can do on sideband these days. Anyway, Dave, I bet you're using your GRC 106. Sounds like it. Over to you. W6MQI, W6SSP.
And W6SSP, W6MQI. Well, no, I'm not. I'm on the TCK7 this morning with the 75A4 receiver. And one of these days I'm going to have to get myself a Navy receiver to match this TCK transmitter. But yeah, it's a nice morning here today. A little cold. It's well, cold for us anyway. Not you guys in Nevada. It's 36 degrees. There's frost on the roof. So, but ended up copying everybody just fine this morning. A little bit of noise here, but all is good. And welcome back to Brown. Haven't heard you in a while. Curious if you did anything with those radio shelters. Haven't heard anything lately, so you might want to comment on that. But anyway, over to, let's see, Richard, W6AWO, W6MQI.
Well, thank you, Dave. W6MQI, W6AWO, now top under this ridge. And Dave, I think we just have a permanent pipeline between your location and mine. There's your the usual top signal, but a couple of others right up there too. So conditions are good. Brown, great to hear you. Glad to hear you'll be around for a while. Good to have you in the neighborhood. And a very nice signal coming down here from Dixon. Using almost the usual this morning, the pedestrian Johnson Johnson 2 12-volt. But today the HRO5T receiver. This is the one that I picked up decades ago from UC, University of California Surplus, and just recently got it back in operation. A good friend of Steve's and mine recapped it for me, and then I did the alignment and all the rest of it, have it on the operating table today, and it's working just fine. It's amazing when you have a good design and you build it well, how well these things work. And Henry was helpful, very helpful in trying to date this particular receiver regarding in relation to the serial number. Thank you, Henry. And yes, you were right, and I know that because now that I'm looking at the dates on the coils, the MSC dates on the coils, April 1945. So we had it nailed. Kevin, over to you. WA6JKN, W6AWO.
Okay, getting things set up here. Yeah, still working on that first cup of coffee. This is WA6JKN, Kevin and Gilroy. And with the help of Mike, I think I'm on the correct sideband for military use. So that would be upper sideband. With an inserted carrier. So thank you for that, Mike. I'm running the Collins KW Sugar 1. I'm happy to report that the band straps that I had manufactured from a certified Collins manufacturer came in, I think it was Friday or Monday, they called me on last Friday and said they were ready. I picked them up on Monday, I believe it was, and started the install on Tuesday and had it all done for the Wednesday night AMI net. Boy, I'll tell you what, I I was impressed. Not only that they look like the originals with the eyelets and everything else, but when I installed them, I didn't have to tune the RF rack. All the slugs from 80 meters all the way up to 10 meters. I didn't have to adjust one thing. It was that's the precision, I guess the mechanical assembly provides. So I was really happy about that, because if you've ever aligned the KW Sugar 1, it's not difficult, but it is a little time consuming. But it's up and running, and I've been having lots of fun going up to 10 meters and putting a kilowatt barefoot and getting a pile up, That doesn't happen too often. But anyway, all is well here. I got the Collins 75A4 matched up with the KW Sugar 1. Mike, thanks to you, I'm on upper sideband. I know that now I know that that's the correct sideband to be on. Thank you very much. Nothing else new to report here. It's a little chilly this morning, but the coffee's good, and I'm copying everybody quite nicely. So let's get it over to, let me check my list here. Bill, I heard you check in. You got a good signal. K6BCT. Over to you, sir. WA6JKN.
Yeah, WA6JKN and 6 Bravo Charlie Tango. Bravo Traffic Tango. I have a little problem with knowing that the KOW receiver, the stupid antenna, apparently is not working. So I have to use my handheld and go outside and get it to be able to check into that net. All right. Anyway, so that's the story there. Anyway, we got about 42 degrees this morning, and here in half-moon day, and so that's the story there. So I've always tried to tell everybody so I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't think he's going to renew it because it hasn't got any antennas or anything to do it with. So he's just going to stay up listen though. All right. So he may be listening on I was going to 37MS, I believe, and 6 Bravo Charlie Tango.
Well, thanks, Bill. N6BCT in the Sunday morning military net, W7MS, Mike in Reno. Good morning to all. Great reception. And just by coinkydink, or let's call it coincidence, I'm running carrier and upper sideband also, Kevin. So, in honor of Brown's visit this morning, I decided to fire up the 618T. Originally left the factory as a 618T2. Serial number 1 for that 1967 contract for the Department of Defense, but it's also now a 618-3, so maybe Brown can confirm, which would make it an ARC 102, I think. But maybe that's too much information for this time in the morning, especially if folks are still on their first cup of coffee. But I am running an amplified handheld microphone, the Turner M+2U, driving the baseband input off the backside of the transmitter receiver, or I guess on certain Collins nomenclature, it's known as the interphone input, output, whatever, but it's baseband. So just by chance, I'm going to grab the Carbone microphone that goes into the front jack, just to continue the transmission to supply some, authentic carbon microphone here. So here we are in the carbon microphone, but with that, just say good morning to everybody. Keep it rolling. It's a large group here, so great to hear everybody. So Henry, good morning. WA7YBS, W7MS.
Okay, well, good morning, Mike. And tweaking and peeking here as usual. All right, I think we got it down. And with that, good morning all around. I think that carbon microphone there, Mike, has a little more response and doesn't sound all that carbony, but it sounded good, and that's the main thing. And a little more punch to it. Okay, well, good morning to all, and good morning to Brown. Good signal from the GRC-19 as usual. Jerry pounding in here with a ATC. Ron, also good strong signal. Steve, good signal from the V1. Dave is doing fine in here as always, and so is Richard. And the KWS-1 from JKN, doing fine with new, what are those things, Fosser Bronze or something like that, the belts. And Bill was Q5, no problem. Okay, we're on it was 21 degrees this morning, and so clear skies though, so that's good. And I'm fiddling with the scope to see if I can see the audio a little better. I thought it's pretty blurry, but that's all right. Anyway, yeah, it's clear skies. It's going to be a nice day today. Probably get into the 50s for sure. And let's see, we're on the 32V3, running about 110 watts or so carrier. Antenna is the 2 halfways in phase collinear array. I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. Collinear array. Anyway, we're running for a receiver, something a little different. It really isn't military, but it is interesting. And it's a 51J4 with the light gray panel. Light gray panel, black nomenclature. The interesting thing about it is the Collins built and installed RC coupler in the 6kC position for the mechanical filter. And apparently the 51J4s that were used in labs, maybe at Collins, maybe somewhere else, who knows. Anyway, they seem to have, some of them seem to have this RC coupler in place of the 6kC mechanical filter. Gives you about a 12kC bandwidth or so on for the when you switch it to 6kC. So anyway, AM sounds pretty normal on this J4, and of course with the light gray front panel, smooth finish, you know, and it's sitting right next to an RA17 Ray Cal receiver. You see the similarity between the two receivers, and of course, if nobody knows the story, I will give it to you real quickly. Ray Cal, when they first started out, they got a contract in 1953. They started in 1950, but in 1953 they got a contract with the Royal Navy to build 51J receivers, like a 51J2 or so, and maybe R388s. But at any rate, they had to get Collins' permission to build them to do this contract for 200 receivers from the Royal Navy. Well, Collins said, we'll let you assemble them, but you got to use all our parts, and all American, all United States-made parts. Well, Ray Cal and the Navy, Royal Navy, wanted British parts. And so Collins said, well, we'll come over and we'll look. We'll look at your plant and see if you can do this. And so Collins sent some people over to Ray Cal, which at that time was, still building shelving units and golf clubs and stuff like that. And Collins said, no way, we're not licensing you to do anything. Well, what was Ray Cal going to do? They had this contract with the Royal Navy, so they got Dr. Trevor Wadley from South Africa to come up, and he designed the RA-17 with the Wadley loop in the at the heart of the of the triple conversion receiver that they came up with. So to pay homage to the 51J, which was kind of the beginning of the RA-17, Ray Cal used that kind of triangular setup for the megacycle and kilocycle dial. And when you see the two side by side, you can really see the similarities, and especially when you have the Collins with the light gray front panel, the similarity really shows. So anyway, there's your why the RA-17 came about and looks the way it did, and how Collins was responsible for it. So there you go. Story number one. Over to Chuck. K0DWC WA7YBS.
WA7YBS K0DWC. Wow. You know, I always try to learn something new every week, and I just got my fix today. What a great story that is. Henry, that was a great dissertation there. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That's a good history lesson. That's really interesting. Oh, all right. Well, let's see here. Let's make a call out. See if there's anybody here who wants to get in on the tail end of the first round for the Vintage Military Radio Net. If you'd like to be number 11, come now. Okay, nothing heard. All righty, well, let's see. Signal reports. Brown is excellent. Jerry, excellent. Ron, Steve, Dave, Richard, Kevin, Bill, Mike, and Henry, all excellent. No problems. One thing I did notice, though, is from a technical point of view, everybody's running something different. The only similarities would be Steve with the 32V1 and Henry with the 32V3. You know, slight differences, but different transmitters. And Jerry and myself, I'm running the standard ART-13, and Jerry's running the ATC. Technically, I guess you could say that they're different, but they're the same but different. How's that sound? Everything else is, you know, the diversity here is incredible. It never ceases to amaze me. Every weekend we've got, you know, everybody seems like they're running something different. It's amazing. It really is. And my hat's off to all you guys, believe me. Let's see. Steve, that original D104 mic element sounds incredible for that being an original element. I think that's the best one I've ever heard. But great job on that, and you're sounding really good. And Mike, I agree with Henry. Both mics sounded really good. I think the last one that you used, the carbon mic, I think that does have a little bit more punch to it. But you know, it's weird. It really kind of doesn't sound like a carbon mic, but you know, we know better. We know it is. And but it's a good one. It's a real good one. So congratulations on that. You got your choice on there with no problems. And let's see here. I was on Wednesday night with the Wednesday night guys. I was one of the guys running low watts. I was running 7 watts on the PRC 74 upper sideband on 3996, and I believe it was Dave was running his GRC 106 on 9 watts. So conditions were really good Wednesday night, and it was a good net, and Jim's net's getting some folks in there. You know, we've been averaging, I guess, 6, 7 people every Wednesday now. So it's sounding really good, and people are interested in it. And if anybody else wants to join in on Wednesday nights on upper sideband on 3996 kilocycles at 8 o'clock, please come and join us. So it's kind of a fun little net. It doesn't last too long, but it's still kind of fun. I like to test out this little PRC 74 that I got just for kicks. But I do have a question for anyone who knows. Has anyone else heard the latest on Tom with his antenna, WH6OPE. Just curious. If not, I guess I'll maybe shoot him an email and see what's going on there. But anyway, okay. Well, we'll start the second round here, and we will go to the top. To Brown, W1 NZR Portable 6. This is K0 DWC.
All right, Chuck. Very good all the way around. Signals holding up. K0 DWC and the Vintage Military Radio Net W1NZR returning. Oh, very good morning to Mike and Henry. Henry, you're almost making the R392 bounce in its mount. Fantastic signal. And thank you very much for that interesting provenance of the RA-17. I was not aware of that, so fascinating. And like Chuck, I learned something today too of great value, at least to a radio geek. Mike, the 618 sounds good on both mics. And yes, indeed, that makes it an ARC 102. And you have serial number 1 from the 67 contract. Wow. I'm looking at my 618 here, but I kept the 19 on because I haven't exercised it in a while. But maybe next week I'll fire up the 618 for this net. I had it on Friday night for the CCA net, and she's hanging in there. These things they're generally dependable. So anyway, good to hear that. Kevin, the KWS-1 sounds very nice. It really does sound good up here in Dixon. And Dave, nice to hear a TCK7 sounding really good. And I have not spoken with Dave Green for well over a month. And it's far too wet up there for him to run his forklifts to move things around. So we put that off for a while, although I may give him a call here today or tomorrow just to say hello and see what's going on up there. So nothing has really happened that way, but I'll keep you informed. And Ron, you're on the TDE. That's fantastic. Great news. I knew it was a little bit of a sore subject, so I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm really glad to hear that. I think I mentioned that I acquired in the last year a TDE back east with an AC supply. The AC supply, evidently, I think it was built by Hallicrafters, and I haven't got it on the air yet, but it's there, and I cleaned it all up and whatnot, but that'll be one of my projects, so I'm really glad to hear about yours. And ATC sounding very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed, and coupling with an RBM receiver. Those are nice receivers. I have a pair of those back east as well, and great to use for bags then. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, Steve over in Santa Rosa, your 32V1 sounding very, very nice as well. Good signals this morning. Conditions are really holding up. And I guess Tom, WA6OPE, hasn't been on because of his antenna. I was hoping that he might be on here. Next weekend was originally planned to be the air raid celebration down at Fort MacArthur, and Tom has been a key player in getting the searchlights running, but unfortunately the city made them cancel the event. A real travesty. But anyway, I know that I'm pretty sure Tom was planning to be down there, and I had hoped to run into him this morning. But that's the way it goes. Okay, Jerry, over to you with the ATC, W6JRY, and the net from W1NZR.
Okay, very good, Brown. W1NZR for 6 and the group W6JRY. Good on everybody. Real good copy. Tons of stuff to comment on. I'll try to make it fast there. So let's see, Henry. Yeah, really enjoyed dissertation on the RH-17, 51J4, and that information. All new stuff. Ron, yeah, I can hear the motor generator set in the background with a TDE. It's the first transmitter I dealt with, Navy-wise, on a reserve unit down in Chico, way back in 1953 and 4 and so on, in there. And we had the motor generator set running it. And my first introduction to that radio. And Steve, everybody get coffee in here, coming in really nice, no problems at all. And one little off radio thing here, history for Nevada types. I work special events a lot, and I worked one in Nevada that dealt with something I'd never heard of. I may have, because but I can't remember it. And it was this is in the area of 1948, 49 back in there. But housed in the Railroad Museum in Nevada, which another thing I found out about, and I didn't know. I thought the only railroad museum was in Carson City there. But now I found out that they have a state railroad museum down in Boulder City, which I've never been to. Been to the one in Carson City a number of times, and they got a lot of nice things in there. But never heard of the one in Boulder City. But in 1949, the French sent 48 boxcars, and this is called the Marcy train. And these boxcars were distributed around and were full of all kinds of things, thanking the people in the United States that sent over more than 700 American boxcars full of relief goods just right after the war. So I don't know if maybe Mike and Henry might know something about that, or Chuck, but that was news to me. Anyway, I got a QSL card with a really nice picture of that boxcar that they have down there with all the stuff on it, called the Marcy train, that's down in the Boulder City, Nevada Museum. Anyway, other than that, but just been enjoying working some new band countries and stuff like that on HF, 12 and 10 meters mainly here lately. A couple of D-expeditions, one that was unfortunately did not accomplish all they needed to do, that they put on down in the South Indian Ocean. Weather too bad for them, and they had to quit early and so on. Did manage to work them on 30 meters, though, which was a new band for me. Anyway, enough out of me, and over to Ron. NU6F and the group W6JRY.
Okay, let's see. I heard some tuning up there, so maybe there's somebody trying to check in. But okay, still good copy. And like Chuck says, we've got a great cross sections of radios. And Brown, good deal on your TDE acquisition. Yeah, that's what this one was this one that was originally Andy's, had the Helicrafter supply in it, and then with a swap between Tom and Andy sometime back, why Tom wanted the Helicrafter supply out of this one, which was originally the three-phase 220 440 MG set. So Tom had the MG set, the first one we tried, and yeah, so that's how this one's back to its original configuration. But yes, many trials and tribulations, but yeah, the new MG set, tore it apart, rebuilt it, and it's doing fine. And it's still 80 years old and rotating at 3,600 RPM, so every time you fire it up, you never know. But for now, it's doing great. And good to see you're back out here in
back out here on the left coast for a while. And it's too bad about the Fort MacArthur searchlight deal being canceled. I know that's a high point for Tom, and he meets with that same gang for a long time, so yeah, that's kind of the pits. And yeah, let's see, Jerry. Yeah, it's interesting on the French boxcars, and in your TDE experience with the MG set model. So there you go. I can, and yeah, the French boxcars. No, I didn't know about the other museum either. But then, you know, I'm a Johnny-come-lately to Nevada, so yeah, I wouldn't know any of that stuff. Steve, good deal on listening in on that Wednesday night net. Yeah, it's too bad Wednesday nights I've got other commitments, so I can't make it on that. I'd like to try the PRC 47 there, but oh well, we'll find another net sooner or later. And Dave, okay, on the sister Navy radio here, the TCK, glad to hear you got that up and perking this morning. And like you say, it eats up a lot of real estate, so you're not sure if you're going to end up having to move it out or one of the other radios out to make room for another big transmitter someday. But Richard, good deal on your setup there. I'm glad that, of course, I'm looking on the SDR receiver here in the background, so you've got some functionality back out of sight. Kevin, okay, on your parts coming back. And Mike, serial number 1. Wow, okay. There you got bragging rights on that one, and yeah, like ditto everyone else, that carbon mic, you must have gone through and sifted out all the carbon granules to make that one. You didn't have any clinkers in there. You probably got the coffee filter out. Got matched by go ahead and yeah, put an asterisk on that one. That's a good carbon mic. And Henry, yeah, it's interesting on Collins authorizing the RA-17. We're not authorizing the 51J4 and then going to RA-17. All right, well, my bad seed is still here on the bench. The ICOM 736 phase lock loop has been dying all of a sudden and coming back, and gosh, I'm really tired of looking at that, about as much as Tom was of his B&W rig. But I guess eventually we'll find it. Okay, with that, and no intermittent phase lock loops in his radio, W6SSP, NU6F. Okay, thank you, Ron. And yeah, it sounds like you've got some projects lined up there, which is wonderful. The weather's turning a little bit nicer, so a good time to spend in the shop. I'm doing more of that myself these days. Anyway, boy, wonderful wide range of equipment this weekend, as there usually is on this net. It just blows me away, some of the stuff that you guys put on the air. Really cool stuff. Let's see, Henry, thank you for relating the story about the Collins and Raycal. I don't know if you knew it, but that story, which I read many years ago on your website, was actually the inspiration for picking up 5 rather rough RA-17s. 2 of them I traded off, and 3 of them are restored and working. And for those that have never used or owned an RA-17, if you ever get a chance to get one, grab them. They are very, very unique receivers in so many different ways. It's hard to go into briefly, but they're just outstanding receivers in every respect, performance-wise. So, and Richard, you mentioned your HRO5. That brings up a thing for me is if anybody has a meter for one of these things, and what it is, it's kind of an Airbar brand, Marion Electric meter. It's a round face meter. The front face is 2 3/4 of an inch across, and it's kind of unique in that the body of the meter is slightly smaller, about 1/16 of an inch smaller in diameter than similar meters, and it's the only one that will fit in the HROs of that period. So the one I have in my HRO file is the meter case is all busted up. It's really bad. So if anybody has a broken Marion meter with a 2 3/4 inch diameter face, I'd like to talk to you. I don't care if the movement is good. I don't care what it is. I don't even care if glass is broken, but I need one of those. Anyway, on the bench this week, I finally have the second KWS1 transmitter on the bench, and last time I worked on these was 6 months ago. So this is the last piece to be restored, and first time I'd taken the bottom cover off of this one. And boy, I'll tell you, this thing is immaculate. Whoever had these things really, really took care of them. They're just beautiful shape, all original hardware, no scratches, no dents, not even any dust. Just amazing condition. So I've gone through and recapped the audio sections and replaced another Black Beauty up in the front end. And so I'll be testing this week. So maybe, I don't know, within a month or so, I might have at least one of them on the air. We will see how that goes. And anyway, Dave, the TCK sounds terrific. I'm sorry I mixed you up with the 106. Those sound very, very carbonated, but sound copy. I would say you and Jerry are the two strongest signals here. W6MQI, W6SSP.
W6SSP, W6MQI. Yeah, no problem, Steve. Well, actually, listening to everybody here, I turned on the GRC 106. I was going to try and use my dynamic mic that I have hooked up to it. I listened to myself on the SDR receiver, and it sounded fine. Not quite as punchy as the crystal mic, but I was going to try that, but I wasn't hearing Ron, and I didn't know if I wasn't going to be able to hear, so I decided to nix that idea. But maybe next week I'll try that. But let's see. Whenever you, I kind of figured it was going to be too wet up there. I got a couple friends that actually live up in Valley Springs, and they got they got dumped on up there. So it's going to be a ride for Dave is able to get in there with his forklift and possibly get those shelters out of there. Let me know, because I'd like to show up. I know that Steve wanted to get a power supply and some other stuff. I figured I'd try and grab some of that stuff for him while I was up there. I don't have any interest in anything, unless there's something that catches my eye. Let's see, I've been playing around with my TRC 77 on 40 meter CW, and man, I tell you, I've been having a heck of a time drumming up good quality CW contacts. I don't know I've gotten a couple of station operators that's like they're dyslexic. They're getting their Y's and their Q's backwards, and their S's and O's, and it's like, what the heck? I've gotten a couple of those guys now. For first I thought it was me, but no, it's not me. I'm copying everything just fine, so not sure what that's all about. I guess it's the lack of testing anymore for CW on our license, but kind of funny anyway. And other than that, not a whole lot going on here. Look at the list here. I'm sure I'll think of something as soon as I let up on the mic here, but that's about it. So over to Richard. W6AWO, W6MQI.
Thank you, Dave. W6MQI, W6AWO, on top end in this switch. And RA17's got to agree with Steve. everybody else's opinion who has an opinion. I have one here just to the right of me that I used to use quite often here on the net, and this is just outstanding. And a great example of a good build and a certain technology, and just really enjoy that receiver very much. Which actually, Steve, SSB, helped me troubleshoot. Very obscure problem, at least it was to me. But with Steve's Eli, we found this carbon trace inside an IF cam. And that was it. All right, now it's time for the OCE report. Spoke to Tom earlier this week, I guess last week. And he is continuing his travels into the dark side. On that, they know. He actually bought a modern radio, and step by step is working on putting it on the wall, mainly on WinLink. I find myself in the position of being his mentor on that. I don't know whether I get points or get points taken away in this crowd for doing that, but more to what we're interested in, and that's the antenna project. He has the halyard and the rope stuff apparently the first time around, and now has a plan to lower the mast of the dry rocks that was discovered and re-rig things. So I was hoping to be over there to make a video of it for the YouTube feature Great Events in Amateur Radio, but I don't think he's going to allow me to do that. So anyway, still a few steps away from having Tom return to us. What's up about 73? Going out to breakfast, as we do on Sunday. So we're going to get that together. I will be listening out, though. So 73 off, and wonderful to be with the esteemed group once again. Kevin, WA6J, W6AWO.
Well, very good. Richard, going out to breakfast. Yeah, sounds like what I should be doing. Haven't done that in a while. Last place I went out to breakfast was when I was visiting Texas here not too long ago. Anyway, let me go through. Only took a very few notes here. Brown, thank you very much for the comments on the KW1. And I guess, Steve, you got a couple of KW Sugar 1s there for a project. And it's good to hear that they're in pretty good shape. I've seen some KW Sugar 1s that were just, they were awful. Not good at all. Okay, let's see here. I gotta check my ALC. Hello. Yeah, I gotta turn the audio up a little bit here. Oh yeah, my audio's way down. Let's try it right there. Okay. Well, it wasn't way down. I was thinking I was on sideband, but I'm not. That's to turn the modulation monitor on. Here we go. Hello, radio. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I forgot I was on AM. Oh well. Let's see. Yeah, Steve's KW Sugar 1s. If you run into any problems or anything, let me know. I might be able to throw a couple of suggestions your way. I spent 5 years going through my KW Sugar 1 and be aware of the documentation. I don't know what service bulletin or which one are all installed, if they're all installed. Some of them are pretty important. Some of them didn't really make a whole lot of difference. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. I can tell you that much. And Henry, I loved your story, the history. You always come up with a great story, so I got some phonetics for you. for your call sign. Whiskey Alpha 7, your best stories. There you go, YBS, your best stories. Yep. And let's see, what else? Not much other than I heard the report on Fort MacArthur and the air raid show and the city getting involved. That's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, that was kind of sad to hear that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication to keep this old stuff running. You know, just like Richard, I think Richard, you're the one that's got that big thing going on there with all the historical stuff going on with well, I forget the name of the site, but I went to the webpage there. It was really, really impressive to be able to keep that stuff, especially all the antennas and everything else. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication. And it's sad to hear that for one reason or another they say you can't do that anymore. All right, well, I think I'm good for the 73 round at least. I haven't finished my first cup of coffee, so I don't know if I'm going to have to re-warm it up or not, but I'll give it another go here. And let's get it over to, let's see, who do I send it to? Bill. Yeah, Bill. I wanted to comment on the microphone for Mike. Mike, the carbon mic sounded like a carbon mic. The amplified microphone, I'm not sure what kind of microphone it is, but it did sound like a carbon mic. It just sounded restricted because of the radio you're using. I'm sure that's what it is. But it sounded more natural, like your normal voice. But it did have restriction to it. And the only reason I noticed that is because of I have the KFS up and running, and then I turned on my what do they call this program? I got this program that I can hook up to whatever I'm listening to on KFS, and it's an audio spectrum scope that I found that you can download for Windows 7. It's a high precision audio spectrum scope, and I could tell that your audio was restricted. All right, enough of that. Over to Bill, K6BCT, and the military group, WA6JKN.
Okay, well, thanks, Bill. N6BCT and the Military Collectors Group, Sunday morning edition, W7MS, Mike and Reno. Well, good reception from all, except that we can tell that the sun is rising in the east and signal levels are dropping, but still 100% Q5 on all, including you, Bill. Since I can take advantage of the 618T and swap it over to a sideband and pull you through, so good morning to you. Well, a lot of comments here. Appreciate the comments on the audio. Obviously, I'm back. I'm still on the carbon microphone, and that's the Shure commercial carbon microphone, the 104A. I think Henry some time ago was rolling some carbon mics through on a Sunday morning and commented that his Shure commercial mic was the hot one out of the bunch, and I certainly would say this is the pick of the litter if you want a hot, good performing carbon microphone. Of course, with some of this stuff, depending on the bias supplied to the microphone, it's actually just too hot. But you know, it's mix and match, right? Got to have a closet of various microphones. But comments here, great Henry on the Ray Cal versus Collins radio story. That was. Again, as others have commented, quite interesting and great on that. Brown, good luck on the dry out there, so you can rate Dave Green's compound. So looking forward to hearing those deals and stories from Valley Springs. And Jerry, great on the Marseille train. Actually, that boxcar is near and dear to me because it sat in front of the Nevada State Museum in Carson City for years, sitting in behind the Glenbrook, the steam locomotive there on the main drag in Cartoon City. And it was restored by the Nevada State Museum, Carson City. And I have seen it in restored condition. It was on display in Carson. And not surprised it's down in Boulder at the Southern Nevada Railroad Museum. I think over time there was some rivalry between the North and the South, and the Southern Nevada folks said, well, the people in Northern Nevada have a railroad museum, we don't. So hence the Boulder City edition of the State Railroad Museum was created, but quite a bit of history with that car. It looked really great in the restored condition. And in fact, familiar with those rescue or food trains to Europe post-war. There was a nice small feature made for movie theaters that I've seen on Turner Classic Movies, where they follow the food train from California to the East Coast. And Reno was prominently displayed as it passed through the middle of town, and with the locals providing food donations for that food train. So that's some great history there. And maybe too much information. It's not radio related, but you know, maybe by that time the Southern Pacific had two-way radios in those locomotives, but hard to say. And let me see, Steve, great on the KWS-1 restorations. Maybe we'll hear you on, say, sideband on the Collins Net on Fridays. That would be fantastic. Great that you were eavesdropping and monitoring our transmissions Wednesday night there on the Green Radio Net. And Dave, sorry we couldn't pull off our two-way earlier this week, but I was going to relate to you my latest GRC 106 failure. And it's not the latest, it's probably the first since I've had it going, but it's in the amplifier. The motor that drives the turret crapped out, and actually it's a mechanical failure internal to the motor and the gear reduction. But Bear Radio to the rescue. They don't have those motors listed under GRC 106, but if you look under motor on the website catalog, oh my gosh, they have that same motor feature for $13.50 as the cutout. So one is on order, and of course it doesn't leave it disabled, but to change bands at least, or QSY in the amplifier, you have to pull the amplifier out and turn the turret by hand to the appropriate frequency. But so not quite high-tech elegance. But I guess if you're out in the field with an ultra-reliable GRC 106, it was probably not an unknown temporary make-do. And let me see. Yeah, Richard is probably signed out. Steve will be awaiting Henry's response on that replacement meter, or at least a replacement meter facade. Kevin, again, appreciate the comments on the audio. Yeah, you can't get much out of this. You're squeezing this through a relatively narrow upper sideband filter, so it's just kind of, it is what it is, and what it is good. And I've got to comment on Ron. He's so darn busy. Ron is Mr. Busy with so many projects, and you know, he's always checking the mailbox every day for all those parts that he's ordered to show up, and he's ultimately he has got every finger in a different project there. So good job, Dave. I mean, Ron. And Dave, looking at my notes, fine on CW, that's a dyslexic. Well, I guess that's it. You just have to do a little interpretation on the code groups there, don't you, to figure out what this guy's talking about. And great on the OPE reports. I think a memorable YouTube video would probably be warranted for the antenna project. So with that, I'm going to say 73s. I will listen out. Thanks, Chuck, for running the show and all the good comments. And maybe we'll catch you on Wednesday night sometime here in the near future on upper sideband. So, Henry, awaiting your transmission. WA7YBS, W7NS.
Okay, very good. And, well, good copy on everybody. Yeah, I was looking at some meters, so distracted there for a bit. And 73 to Richard, 73 to Mike. Okay, yeah, the meters, Marion Electrics, I'll have to measure to see what the standard yellow-faced meter is, because that is a Marion Electric. The one that was used on, you know, all of the 1940 on up, about 1939, 40, was when they went to that style with the yellow face. But, of course, the HRO5s and the HROWs had this other crazy meter that Marion Electric made. I have no idea why they went to it, but it's a 0 to 1 milliamp scale, white-faced meter, and that's typically what is on the HROWs and the HRO5s. And totally useless meter, put it that way. And that's why you do see HRO5s and you do see HROWs with the old style meter put back in, because it was a little better. And so anyway, on the HRO5 and the HROW, that 0 to 1 milliamp Marion Electric meter is the only one that you have to adjust the S meter adjustment on the chassis every time you change bands. It's just, it was pathetic. But I don't have the white-faced version, and I'll have to check and see if the yellow-faced one is the same size as far as the body, the housing, because I think all you need is the housing, and we'll see. But yeah, HRO5s are very good update to the HRO basic. HRO-M was what the National ended up calling it, the M and the MX, and the HRO5 and the W, HRO-W went to octal tubes from the old 6D6s and 6C6s and all of that stuff, and it was a really good upgrade. That receiver performs excellent, and when you get past the HRO5 and the HRO-W, and you get to the very last run, which was production run number 184, that's when they installed the NC200 crystal filter into the HRO, and that's a good receiver. The crystal filter works, which on the old HRO, it's kind of it's debatable whether you can get it to work correctly or not. If you play around with it enough, it does work. But I mean, it is confusing because it's two variable condensers that you're adjusting, whereas the NC200 crystal filter came out in 1940 and was in the RAO receivers, and it was in the NC200s, of course, and the NC240s. It's a much better crystal filter with steps, a switched stepped selectivity and a phasing control. So the HRO finally caught up with the H05A1. So anyway, so much for that. I guess I better pass it along. The dyslexic CW. That was good. I like that, Dave. Believe it or not, there are professionals out there that are programming the CW on NDBs that are also dyslexic. And some of the one up in La Grande, Oregon, LDG, that one for years, it was incomprehensible what they were sending. And they finally, I guess the guy went back to school or something, or learned CW. Anyway, about a year ago, they got it programmed right, and now it sends LGD correctly. And the other one in Powell, Wyoming, is POC or POY, and it sends POC. That's no end of confusion on that one. But anyway, yes, the CW on 99% of the NDBs is perfect, but there are ones out there that are pretty funny. Anyway, with that, back to Chuck, K0DWCW, A7YBS.
Okay, Henry, WA7YBS, K0DWC. Okay, well, things continue to be excellent. 7-3s to Richard and to Mike. And Jerry, thanks for the info on that train museum in Boulder. I had no idea there was one of those down there. But the only other train museum I know of is in Virginia City, and it's just a small, tiny one. I think they got one engine in the building, and that's it. But you know, it's a tourist attraction, so it's a mini version of the bigger museum in Carson City, pretty much. But anyway, I meant to comment on Kevin. I just wanted to tell you, Kevin, that KWS-1 sounds really, really good, and I know that's a big favorite for you, so I'm glad that that's working well for you and you're enjoying using that, because that's a really cool set. I've never had one. I've seen Henry's numerous times, and you know, I got a great story on that too. I pretty much know the history of his KWS-1, which I thought was really cool. But glad that you got that up and going the way you like it, and you sound really good this morning. And let's see, just real quick, the only project I've done this week is I overhauled a DM28 dynamotor for BC348 that I got sitting in the other room there. And just a slow process on that. I've got another big project in the works, but I haven't gotten all the parts yet from Europe, so just kind of dinking around with the BC348 a little bit. And let's see, what else we got here? Yeah, that Great Air Raid event in LA, you guys were saying was canceled. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. Here in Nevada, a lot of us are kind of out of the loop, and you know, that's your guys' comment. That's the first I've heard of this, and I was just wondering why they did that, because I haven't read anything or heard anything about them canceling that event. So if anybody knows more about it, give me some more information. That would be great. So anyway, we'll go ahead and start the 7-3 round and see. Well, let me see. Is there anybody that wants to be in on the tail end of the second round, because we're going to the 7-3 round? If you'd like to be number 11, come now. Okay, just thought I'd give it a shot. Okay, with that, we will send it back up to Brown. Brown, this is 7-3 round, and I hope you come back. So next week and all. So you know you're always welcome. W1NZR, portable 6. This is K0DWC. This is a 7-3 round, gentlemen. Go ahead, Brown.
Oh, very good, Chuck. K0DWC and the Milnet W1NZR returning. Well, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Chuck, once again, thank you for being NCS and orchestrator of herding the cats. You've done a great job. And regarding the Fort MacArthur event, evidently it was somebody in the city who thought they determined that there was an owl nesting in one of the trees on the grounds of the Fort MacArthur Museum. And so, for that reason, evidently, the event was canceled. They had done a great deal of planning and effort. They had sold tickets, which they now have to return. Very sad, but not a surprising event. Very, very sad. Anyway, that's the story on that as I have heard it, and I did hear it from one of the people at the museum, so that's the sad commentary on that. Not much more from me. Wonderful comments all around. Great to hear the various radios. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for letting me in. And with that, we will hand it over to Jerry and say a very good morning to her, but we'll listen out. W6JRY and the net from W1NZR.
Okay, Brown, W1NZR and the group W6JRY. Great, everybody's still holding in here. Gee, really good conditions. Very good conditions here today. Mike, thank you for the input on the Marcy train. That was great. So I did reside there in Carson City. Well, I knew nothing about the Boulder City deal there, and that special event, it was NV7AL, and they were, it was Amateur Radio Club in Las Vegas. It was connected with the American Legion Post 149, as it says here on the QSL card anyway. Quite a pretty restoration on the car there. I like the wheels on that. Anyway, everything copied. A lot of interesting things here. Chuck, thanks a lot for taking the net. And I'm going to say 73's here and get it along. Keeps moving along. But a lot of interesting things on the net here today, and great conditions. So, Ron, over to you there on that TDE and your MG running there. And you 6F 73s, we'll be listening out, W6JRY.
Okay, good deal, Jerry. Yeah, I'm enjoying the radio banter in the background here. I looked at the Nikon this morning and I said, doggone, I'm going to peel open the cover and check one more thing in there. And I guess I'm going to end up pulling some boards and trying to rig up something for testing that phase lock loop board on it. But that's the case. I do not need magnifying glasses for working on much on this TDE or on the matching RAL. You can see everything with unaided vision. And Brown, you mentioned the owl nesting. I'm sure that most everyone looked in the closet at the 12 gauge, and what do I have for bird shot? Oh well, like you say, not surprising for California. Well, good deal on all. I haven't got too much to add. And Kevin, I like the YBS, your best story. That's some good phonetics for Henry. And for Henry, I might often ask, where do you manage to find this stuff? You know, it's like Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. It's always educational. And Mike, I'm not sure what your schedule's like. I wondered if you wanted to hit hometown afterwards, maybe do a part swap there. But if not, we'll catch you later. And good copy again on all. Glad to hear everybody alive and well. Just has that missing spot for Tom.
and that will be a high point for the net. All right, 73 is all. Thanks again. And let's see, I can't remember if Steve signed or not, but go ahead and take it, Steve, if you're still there, looking at your KWS one in the background, and you success. 73.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Yeah, I'm still here. Noise flow is way up, so you're right at the noise level, but I heard part of it. And good luck with your phase lock loop problem there. That could be a real bear. I've gotten to the point where I don't really like working on microprocessors or lights anymore. I do it occasionally, but boy, those can be a real bear to fix for a whole bunch of reasons. Anyway, good copy on everybody, more or less. Like I say, noise flow is coming up right now. So, Sheldon, when I get testing these two KWS ones, you're first on my list to contact. I listened to your discussions in the past about frequency stability and adding a fan and things like that. I definitely want to talk to you about that. But I've got a ways to go yet. Like I said, I've gone through both of them. One of them, by the way, is very early. It's serial number 279, so it uses the 4X 150As. And the other one is later. It's about serial number 1300 or 1400, which uses the 4CX 250Bs, I think. So they're a little bit different. There are some differences internally, but nothing real serious. So I'm enjoying working on these things. They really are. The quality is just absolutely outstanding. And anyway, I think that's it for me for today, and I don't know if anybody's copying me or not, but Chuck, thank you for taking that. You and Henry do just a wonderful job of being the MC here, and it's a wonderful net, wonderful group, and wonderful stories all the way around. Over to Dave, W6MQI, W6SSP, 73 all.
W6SSP, W6MQI. I switched over to my GRC 106. I want to, I'm using the crystal mic, the carbon mic right now. I'm going to switch over to my dynamic mic, and if there's anybody left that can give me a real quick signal report. Hang on a second here. Mike, go back in you. I'm on the dynamic mic now. It's a Heil Pro headset feeding into the GRC 106. So, not sure how it sounds. I'm looking at myself on the SDR. I might be a little on the light side, but I am. It is hearing me. But anyway, everybody, good net. And again, yes, Chuck, I agree with Steve. Thanks for taking the net, as well as Henry. And it's always a pleasure to get on. So, with that, if anybody's here, may I have this over to, let's see, I can't remember if Richard signed or not. Shoot. I'm going to hand it over to Richard, hopefully he's still there. W6AWO, W6MQI.
Richard signed, so it goes to Kevin, WA6JKN. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. Very good. WA6JKN. Yeah, I looked up the owls to see if they were restricted, and apparently back in 2016, the spotted owl was added to the wasn't the endangered list. It was it was added to the California's threatened list. I didn't even know they had a separate list. So you have the threatened list, and then you have the endangered list. Wow. So it's just related to the spotted owl. So I'd go out there and with some magnifying lenses and see if you can spot that owl. If it doesn't have spots, this is what I read. If it doesn't have spots, it's not on the threatened list. So it would be surprising if somebody in the city heard a report that there was an owl, and it may not be a spotted owl. If it's not a spotted owl, just a regular owl, it's not on the list. And so anyway, that would be my suggestion. Got to become a bird watcher. Know your species. Know your birds. Right? Yeah, if it's a spotted owl, then they are on the California threatened list, but not on the endangered list. They do have restrictions about habitat and all this kind of stuff. You can't disturb them. So anyway, all right. Let's see here. Dave, on the microphone, the second microphone that you hooked up sounds much natural. It's natural. It sounds really good, high quality. I didn't use the audio spectrum scope. I didn't fire it up. Just on the old tired ears here, it sounded really good. I would prefer that microphone if it was up to me. All right, so that's my report there. And Steve, on the KW Sugar 1, anytime as you go through it, you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to throw some suggestions and ideas your way. I'll be happy to do that. And let's see, I think that's pretty much. Oh, Chuck, thank you for the comments on the and all the comments from everybody on the KW Sugar 1. You know, it's okay. So one of the comments was about the frequency drift. So from the time I turned, now think about this, Henry knows this better than anybody else. From the time I turned on the KW Sugar 1, from the cold, being cold, to where I'm at right now, an hour later, the entire drift of the PTO moved 6 hertz. That is startling. 6 hertz. And when I started characterizing the accuracy of the PTO after the modification, the modification improved the manual specification for drift over 10 times. That's pretty remarkable. And the short story is the KW1 was my go-to standard. The KW1's been in the family for coming up on 70 years or something like that. And that PTO was so stable, I remember using it, the KW1 as a novice in the tune position. Because back then, crystal, we were lock bound. And it was fun. I loved the KW1 because of the mercury vapor rectifiers. I loved to see that when I was operating Charlie Whiskey. And the KW1 has a very, very loud side tone oscillator built in. I mean, it sounds like a kilowatt when you key. So the PTO stability was so phenomenal. I always had that, in the back of my mind as the standard. And then when the KW Sugar 1 came out, I call it the Sugar 1. The drift on it was more comfortable. The longer your transmission, it would drift one way, then when you were in to receive, it would drift back. So that told you right away that the PTO was being influenced by an outside source, the heat source, and it turned out to be the hot box. becomes the standard design with stability that Collins is known for. And I don't know why the S-line drifts, all these other radios after the KW1 has a drifting problem, but I'm sure it's heat related. All right, enough of that. 73, and the very best to everybody. Have a great weekend, what's left of it, and the next week in front of us. And if you see any spotted owls, make sure you don't disturb them. Yeah. And over to Bill. I think Bill's still there. T6BCT in the group, WA6BT is listening clear. Good night, or good morning, everyone.
Okay, Bill, N6BCTWA7YBS. Yeah, Mike signed. And so, shall I? So, 73 to all, and hope to hear you all back next weekend when I'll be net control, and we'll see what goes on then. Back to Chuck, K0DWCW7WA7YBS.
Okay, Henry, WA7YBS, K0DWC. All right, guys. Well, thank you for the enlightenment on the reason the Great Air Raid event is being canceled. Well, I really don't know what to say about that. I'm just, it's just unbelievable. But anyway, Dave, no problem on either microphone. The last one you were on, here anyway, sounded just a tad more clear than the first one. Like you were saying, it was just a little bit on the light side, but it's absolutely no problem. Your Q5 easy copy on both microphones. So no problem with those here at my QTH. So anyway, thanks fellas for a wonderful net, wonderful equipment, wonderful effort on the part of all you guys. Believe me, it's appreciated, and we thank you for the support of this net on Sunday mornings. You guys are the best. So with that, I'll shut the net down for today, and again, I want to thank everyone for their participation and invite everyone back next Sunday morning. And Henry, I'll give you a phone call later this afternoon, touch base with you, and we'll talk to the rest of you guys next Sunday, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll talk to some of you on Wednesday night on the upper sideband net. So take care, guys. Have a good day today. Enjoy the weather, and have a good, safe week ahead. So this is K0DWC saying 7-3s to everyone, and signing off. 7-3, guys.